Hey there, everybody. I'm Lara. I am the founder of Hope Scarves, and I am excited to do our first Instagram Live. I am really eager to use this medium as a way to extend our storytelling and the work that we do at Hope Scarves. I am also really eager to share that I put on lipstick for the occasion, which has not happened in about 70 days. And so I didn't even know where any was. So thank you for helping give me a reason to practice some hygiene tech. I took a shower, I used a roll brush, all kinds of things I haven't done for a real long time. So hi there, as people are joining us. Yay, lipstick, Kelly. I knew you would be exceptionally excited about that. It is actually the exact same lipstick I wore in college. Shows a little bit about how much I wear makeup. This is a Clinique lipstick that I have been wearing since 1994, right here. Super adventurous with my makeup. Roll brush, I know, was really hard with my mullet here that I am rocking right now. But thank you for joining us tonight. One of the things that I am going to do with the Hope Isn't Canceled campaign, which is the new campaign we launched at Hope Scarves to help, and we had kind of set out 3 key goals with the Hope Isn't Canceled campaign. One was to create solidarity and support for people facing cancer during this pandemic. The second was to raise money in a new way for Hope Scarves to replace some of the lost revenue that we experienced as a result of the coronavirus and losing our outrunning cancer revenue and a variety of other sources of revenue for our organization. And third was to increase increase Hope Scarf requests and build awareness for Hope Scarves nationally. And so tonight, what we're going to do, if you followed along with the Hope Scarves Instagram and Facebook, hi Carrie, you can see me if you look out your back deck. I'm sitting in my sunroom, so that would be funny if you wave out there. So what we're going to do tonight is actually bring on one of the women that we have profiled through our Hope Isn't Canceled campaign. If you have been following along the past couple weeks, we have been telling some amazing stories of women who are facing cancer through this pandemic. And we have featured their pictures and their stories as a way to help each other feel less isolated and just to bring them love and support from the Hope Scarves community. And so our first guest tonight will be Rhonda, and she's going to join me here in a minute. I know I think I saw that she was on, so I'm going to add her. But first hey there, Rhonda. Okay, I'm going to add you in just a second. I think first what I'd like to do is just share an update on the campaign and how it's going. So, I'm going to peek over here at my computer screen. So like I said, the goal was threefold. First of all was to create solidarity for people facing cancer. And we can't really measure that with a metric other than the comments and words of support that we've gotten through our scarf requests and donations. And so I'm going to share just some of the, of course now I'm not going to be able to find it. Oh, goodness gracious. Hold on. I have too many documents open and now I've lost it. Seriously. Okay, so I'm going to move on from that one for just a second. What I do have open are the stats and the metrics. So we have set a goal of creating a recurring gift program, which we have not had at Hope Scarves before. And what we did with the recurring gift program was create a way for people to sponsor a scarf on a monthly basis with a $30 donation. And the goal there was to create sustainability and predictable revenue for our organization, which is really hard in the midst of such uncertainty, not knowing where your revenue will come from and what the philanthropic support will be. This reoccurring gift program is a significant way for us to know how to budget and how to plan. So I'm so grateful to the 30 donors who have contributed and signed up for reoccurring gift donations. We have 30 reoccurring gifts, which equals $915 of revenue a month. So that is nearly $1,000 that we can rely on as an organization going forward, which we did not have before. And so I want to say thank you to all of you who have signed up. One of the ways we have grown our reoccurring gift program is to establish the Hope Isn't Canceled kind of social media challenge, where we've challenged people to hold up a sign on social media and say who Hope isn't canceled for in their life and sponsor a scarf, and then challenge 3 more people to sponsor a scarf. And so if any of you watching have not yet done that yet, please join us in sharing on social media, tag Hope Scarves, just a sign that says Hope Isn't Canceled for, my sign said Aunt Kathy, my aunt who's currently in cancer treatment, and it also said Hope Isn't Canceled for Robin, and I sponsored a scarf in each of their honor. So hope you will do that too if you haven't yet, and help us get that number up higher. That represents almost $1,000 of support. In addition, we received 52 one-time donations, and that totals $9,159 in one-time gifts. And so overall, so far, the campaign has raised a little over $10,000. And we think that's a great start, and just super excited about the response that we've gotten. To put it in context, in April, we would have had our Outrunning Cancer fundraiser, which is our second largest fundraiser of the year, with a revenue of $70,000, and we didn't have it. So that's the deficit that we're facing right now. And this is a big step in the right direction with this new revenue stream. And so we're really excited about that. Our largest donation was $5,000, which came from the Amway Corporation in Michigan. And our smallest donation came from a private donor with a $10 donation from Illinois. Our furthest donor is from California. And so we really are excited about the scope of our new Hope Isn't Canceled campaign. In addition to the financial goals, I mentioned our third goal was to increase our scarf and story distribution. And so we typically were sending about 50 scarves a week. Since we launched Hope Isn't Canceled, we sent 138 scarves in 1 week. So we more than doubled our scarf distribution, which was a huge goal. And our oldest recipient was 75 and our youngest was 13. So that, I think, is a huge success in recognizing that we are reaching more people now through Hope Scarves. And we're really excited about how the Hope Isn't Canceled campaign has allowed us to do that. Because facing cancer is hard, always. Facing cancer during a pandemic is really, really hard. And so I would like to thank all of you for your engagement in the campaign and helping us spread the word about what we're doing and how Hope Scarves can be a resource for people facing cancer, and just keep the momentum going. This campaign has no specific end date. It is open-ended because Hope Isn't Canceled indefinitely, and neither is this campaign. So you'll hear more about it. But the thing I am most proud about when I look at those metrics and I look at the dollars raised or the scarves sent is really evaluating our impact by the ones and by helping individuals, and how Hope Scarves makes a difference for individual people. And so I'm gonna add Rhonda to our conversation, and we're gonna spend about 30 minutes together talking about her experience facing cancer, how Hope Scarves has been a resource, and how she finds hope through this pandemic and how she lives a hopeful life. So bear with me as I see how to do this, because this, again, is my first time ever doing this. Let's see here, Rhonda. Face is going to pop up here momentarily. It says, I am waiting for you. So hopefully you can accept my invitation. Yay!
Hi.
It worked. I love it when a
Worked.
plan comes together.
Yay.
Rhonda, it is so good to see your beautiful smile.
Oh,
Rhonda,
thank you. And of course I thought, well, Laura's going to be casual and have a hat on or something. So we switched places
I
tonight.
know. I put on makeup. You are the
And
Ribbon and Fields consultant with all the makeup, and I am like showing
I
my
have no makeup
1994
on.
Clinique. I think maybe you have a new customer. Well, Rhonda, let me do just a quick introduction that you and I actually are, or you live near where I grew up in West Michigan,
Yes.
and we met through mutual, yay, the mitten, little heart there for Montague. We met through mutual friends, and we are actually also sorority sisters at Hope College, though we weren't there at the same time.
Yeah.
Delta Phi love is strong in the house. I know there's some Delphis watching too. So, and Rhonda was part of our Colors of Courage committee last summer. Gosh, doesn't it seem like a different world when we were planning a party for
It was
300 people in Kelly's backyard this time last year?
That's crazy.
Different time.
Life has changed.
Life has changed a lot for both of us, and it's changed a lot for you. Tell us all, the people watching, just a little bit about you and how you were diagnosed with breast cancer.
Sure. So, well, I live in Montague, Michigan, which I love. I have two children. Austin is 28, and Sophie is going to be 16 in 2 weeks. And I was diagnosed metastatic a little over 3 years ago. And I was diagnosed de novo, which means I was diagnosed at stage 4. So that was a really rough couple of weeks going through all of that. And I guess what I would say is, for the women out there who have dense breast tissue, talk to your doctor, talk to a doctor who will listen to you, and don't rely on yearly mammograms. So my tumors were not seen through yearly mammograms, and it also was not seen through a 3D mammogram. So MRI, full breast ultrasound are the two things that I recommend to people who have dense breast tissue and are looking for another diagnostic tool, or just a healthy tool every year. So it was first seen in my bones. So I went on Ibrance, which is what you're currently on. It was it was just a shock. So, and then I actually was, the Ibrance worked, so they weren't seeing any active tumors. And then a year and a half ago, they started seeing something in my liver that didn't look quite right, and ended up having a biopsy. And so the breast cancer went to my liver. So we tried about 3 things, oral medications, because as you know, you could try and stay on oral medications as long as you can. And they just weren't working. The cancer in the liver just kept getting bigger or developing new cancer spots. So in September of last year, I started on Taxol, which is an IV chemo, and I'd never been on an IV chemo before because I didn't have the opportunity to be diagnosed below stage 4. So it was scary going into that treatment room for the first time. But fortunately, the Taxol is wiping out my cancer in my liver. So my last scan was last week, and they didn't see any active tumors in the liver. So, yay.
So
Yeah.
glad.
So, yeah. I also got my port out last week because we've kind of been dealing with issues with my port for the last 3 months. So it was a full-on metastatic breast cancer week last week, which I don't really like having those.
No.
But fortunately, I kind of got it all done, and my thought now is I can enjoy my summer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So talk to me for a minute. I mean, your experience being diagnosed metastatic, which is so different probably than many of your friends who, I think so often we get this like, how many chemos or how many, like, what's your plan? And then you're going to beat it and you're going to be great. And there's such a misconception about, or misunderstanding, I should maybe is a better word, about metastatic breast cancer. And how did you articulate that, or how do you articulate that to people when from the start you were looking at ongoing treatment?
Yeah. And I think that I was in the realm of really not knowing a lot about metastatic breast cancer when I was diagnosed.
Right.
And when I was first diagnosed, the plan was surgery, IV chemo, radiation. So I had picked my surgeon in Grand Rapids. I was going down that path, and they said, we really think that you should get a PET scan since your cancer had already gone to your lymph nodes in your arm. So, that was a scary thought. And definitely that first PET scan was really scary. And so I met with the surgeon's radiologist, and sitting there and having him pull up my PET scan and showing me the spot on my back saying, did you have an injury or something? Did you, is there anything that this could be basically besides cancer? And they said, well, we're worried that the cancer may have already spread. So we need to do a biopsy on the bone. And, so this is all in the span really of 2 weeks, this whirlwind of you have breast cancer, but you may have stage 4 breast cancer. And then getting that phone call from the surgeon saying it is breast cancer in your bones. So you won't be having surgery. You won't be, having radiation. That took a lot to kind of wrap my head around. What do you mean all I'm going to do is take a pill?
So I think it's like pause there for a second, Rhonda, because I think a lot of people don't realize that when you're diagnosed metastatic, you don't have a mastectomy. You don't treat the primary breast cancer.
No.
You go to systemic treatment, and typically, you just jump past all the early stages.
Yes.
And that was not something that I realized at all. And I'm wondering, like, how you feel about the misunderstanding that's out there around early stage versus late stage, and
I think that we've had so much education about early stage, and we've had no education about metastatic. So I think everyone's very familiar with early stage, and the only time I think people know about stage 4 breast cancer is, oh my gosh, you're dying. Like, do you only have months to live? And they really don't know what the treatment is. And I think a lot of people don't realize all the women below age 50 who get diagnosed metastatic. I went to the breast cancer conference in Philadelphia a couple of years ago, and the metastatic women that were there, I think they were all younger than me, and I'm 51.
It's disproportionately younger women and African American women who are diagnosed metastatic as their first diagnosis. That is way higher percentage, which is, I think we could have a whole conversation about like why that is. Women
Huge.
who are
Yeah.
not like doctors that think it's nothing or just
Oh,
come
yeah.
back, we'll watch it, we'll monitor it. And it gets
Yes.
back to what you said at the very beginning, Rhonda, which is advocating for your
Yes.
health. And if that's a message
Yes.
you can share over and over and over, is like,
Yeah.
if it doesn't feel right to you, if you need more answers, if you want another test, you have to be your best advocate, because you're an example of that.
And there were, I would say, for at least 2 years, maybe 3, before I was diagnosed, that there were just some strange things going on that I couldn't really understand. I would get about every 3 months, I just get a really episode of like being really tired. So just kind of and met with my primary care physician, got all the labs done. They don't do like just a cancer, let's throw cancer in there. They don't do that. It's like with women, it's like it's your thyroid. Are you low in iron? Are you just working too much? So I think, my oncologist says I had it for years. So I think that explains a lot of kind of the things I was going through. And I think, if I would have, I think in regards to dense breast tissue, that's a whole other subject too. And that is something that women need to advocate for, because you get a letter that says you have dense breast tissue. It doesn't always say to what level. And it also doesn't say, please call your primary care physician to talk about other tools. And the primary care physician or gynecologist doesn't call you and say, we should talk about an MRI, so the conversation kind of ends with that letter. A lot of times it'll just say, kind of keep an eye, breast health, and make sure you don't miss your mammograms, but it really needs to go a step farther. And it's left up to the patient to know that information. I didn't know that.
That is one of my biggest frustrations in general as a cancer patient, and specifically as a metastatic cancer patient, is how much we have to take this responsibility on ourselves to figure things out. And we have a clinical trial navigator on the Hope Scarves website as part of our partnership with Metastatic Breast Cancer Alliance. But it kind of just pisses me off that it's like even exists, because
why are we the ones having to do this?
Why do patients need to search for clinical trials? Like, why does this even exist?
Right.
Like, our oncologists, and for the most part, I mean, I love my oncologist. I am grateful for their work. But when you put the burden on the patient to feel like they have to like understand all their diseases, and there might be a better trial than what they're on, so they should search this database, it's so hard. And it's already hard to be having cancer, but feeling like your fate or your wellness lies in how well you can search a trial database, or that's hard. And
medication, I think that happens too. Well, here's kind of the 3 things I'd recommend. Well, like pick one.
Well, and that's the difference, right? We've talked a lot about the difference between early stage breast cancer and late stage, and all types of cancer. It's not just breast cancer, but there's a clear path towards wellness in early stage cancer diagnosis. This many chemos, this many radiations, this surgery, and it's very clear. I never was asked which treatment option I wanted as an early stage breast cancer patient. It was like, here's the welcome packet, and this is the steps that we'll take. As a metastatic patient, it was like, here's the menu of things we can try. Which one do you want? Like, I was like picking out like my dessert option. And that is hard as a patient to feel like we somehow have to understand what's the right treatment. But it's the reality, and it's why we raise money for research, is that there are not enough treatment options. We need to accelerate research. We need to try to extend people's lives with advanced cancers, because there's just not enough options for us. And that's why we have our research fund, and why it is so important to raise money for research.
Yeah.
Tell me how this stupid coronavirus has made having cancer even shittier.
Yeah,
Like,
it has.
how is it? What is it? How is it changing your day to day? How are you feeling? What's it like?
Right. In some ways, it's very similar to the life that I was leading since September because I've experienced a lot of fatigue with Taxol.
Okay.
Um, and I, through studying my own labs and kind of doing my own research, I approached
Again,
my
advocating.
advocating. I approached my oncologist in January about um, adding steroids the first 3 days, not the initial day after treatment, but then the next 3 days, just a low dose. And that's kept me out of bed because from September to December, pretty much it was almost 2 weeks a month in bed. So,
Just
my
like such fatigue that you.
couldn't even get out of bed. Yeah,
That's a hard way to live, Rhonda.
it was. It was. And, obviously I feel bad for Sophie. Um, Fortunately, my mom was here for a couple of those months, but it's a lot of time to think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
What did you? What did you? How did you make it through those months? What brought
a
you
lot of
hope?
Netflix
A lot of Netflix.
because I need to distract my brain
I know.
because your brain can kind of go off in different directions. Reading, I did some like Christmas crafts and just tried to do some different things that I was able to do. But on the other hand, it's lonely. It's very lonely. Um,
How hard is it? Talk about for a second
yeah,
this sense of isolation and the
yeah.
feeling like the rest of the world, like
Hmm.
I
They're going on with their lives.
yeah, and I can remember there's like this feeling of like
Hmm.
I know what I would be doing right now if
Yeah,
I was myself.
yeah.
Like, how does that feel for like? How,
You feel like cheated. I feel cheated. I feel, there's so many things I want to do and I can't because if I overdo, I know I'm going to be in bed the next day or I'll just have really bad body pain. It's hard though to stop yourself from doing everything that you used to do. Um, but the isolation really is the worst, but I also don't want people to like feel pity and feel like they have to just come and sit with me because I'm okay. I'm alive.
How
Um,
have you learned, Rhonda? I hear you say I'm okay. Have you learned to accept help?
I'm getting better at it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm sitting right here because those flower boxes, one of my friends, and she did what you suggest, which I love,
Yay!
was just
Ask, don't
text me and
ask. Ask,
say,
don't
I
ask.
want I want to come and do your flower boxes. And that is something I never would have asked somebody to do. But when she said that, it was just like this huge relief. Also
Exactly.
because I knew she was going to do a kick butt job at it.
You're like, thank
So,
God it was the friend who could do a good job at this.
but your posts
Yeah.
are so accurate. Just do the thing. Do
Right.
not ask us, well, let me know if you need anything. We're
Right.
we're not going to do that.
No.
We're not going to
I,
do it.
oh,
So,
that was gonna be my next question. Was like, has anyone done that for you and what it meant for you?
yeah.
Because I am so passionate about this that
Yep.
people say all the time, let me know how I can help. We're here for you.
All
And
the
they do
time.
it from a place of love and support and
Yeah.
kindness. But I
Yeah.
guarantee that no one in active cancer treatment is keeping a running list of the people who
No.
said, let
I
me know
mean,
how I can help. And then it's
and
like, you know what? I'm going to ask this person, like on their list. It's hard. It is hard. It is, I think, particularly hard for women and women like you, Rhonda, you are an entrepreneur, you are a business owner, you are a single mom, you are a kick butt strong woman, and
self-sufficient. Yeah.
so self-sufficient. And to ask for help is hard. It is, but it is a sign of courage, and it is a action in vulnerability, which is a
Yeah.
sign of courage. But it's even more so is when people realize that they can just, what can they do just to
Yeah.
help?
Yes.
And
Whatever it is that they're good at, or,
yeah,
you know, like handyman stuff, you know, is stuff that people don't think about. Like, especially because I'm a single mom. So I need stuff like that too. So if someone is good at that, but I love the people who just say, hey, I'm dropping off some food for you.
yeah,
And it's become kind of a smaller group of people now. And I think a lot of people with metastatic can vouch for that too. Everybody rallies at the beginning, but it kind of fades out. And I understand everybody has lives, and you know, I'm going past 3 years. But I tell you, those days that somebody says, I'm bringing you over dinner, and I'm exhausted because I get exhausted pretty much every day. You know, I've got kind of a 6-hour window to work with sometimes, knowing that kind of that's my energy. So yeah, I adore the people who just do.
yeah. So
Yeah.
act, don't ask, and think about, I like what you just said, like think about what your unique skill is.
Yeah.
And then just offer it. Just say, I'm going to take care of this. Or I really enjoy, you know,
Yeah.
working with my hands and fixing things. I have a saw and a hammer,
Yep.
and I want to be on your short list. Or,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, if you drive by and you see the fence is broken, stop and fix the fence, or give a specific example of how you can
Yes.
help, so
Yes.
that you don't have to think about who to ask or how to ask.
Right.
Because you have enough that you're carrying already and trying to balance. And you're right. I mean, I think that is one of the things that's so hard about metastatic breast cancer. And I feel like I had to do a lot of education in my community, in my circle of people, which was like, well, I don't need a meal train right now because I'm planning, you know, I'm hoping I'm in this for the long haul. But there's going to be a point when I do, and then I'm going to activate that. But right now, the needs are different, and people, I think, are confused a lot by that because it's just a different thing than what they're used to with a cancer diagnosis that is a finite, you know, span of time, which is what you get in an earlier stage diagnosis.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People can rally for, you know, 12 weeks, a year, but 3 years, it's a lot to ask of someone. And I'm not, you know, it's a lot to ask of people to go on that ride with you for so long.
Yeah.
You know,
and we hope that it's long. Like, that's the thing.
Yes.
You hope that it's long,
yes.
but then you think, this is a long time to live with this fatigue. That's a long time to live. I mean, I kind of feel, you know, right now everybody's kind of identifying with this idea of a new normal. And that is so many things that are changing in our world, but you are experiencing that in, I mean, profound ways in living. And you're grateful. You're grateful that the treatments are working, that you're here, that you're sitting in your beautiful yard, and I can hear the Michigan birds singing behind you. And but it's hard. It's hard. It's a hard thing.
It's even more isolating. You know, I felt already pretty isolated, you know, and I'm not feeling well. And now I haven't been to the grocery store since the beginning of March, and I'm dying to go because I hate ordering pickup because I love going through the rows, and online pickup doesn't always have stuff that you need that's at the store. So that's very frustrating. I'm one of those who just kind of likes to pop into the grocery store every couple of days. So that's been really hard. And then, you know, I haven't been able to be with my son besides outside at least 6 feet apart because he works in a grocery store. So that's been difficult. It's been difficult. I know I share custody of Sophie with her dad, and we kind of made the decision in March, the beginning, that she was going to stay with me because he still went to work and So, he wasn't really in quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
So she stayed with me, stuff, making decisions like that, because if she were to go to his house and, he had it not knowing and passed it on to her and she brought it into the house, those are hard decisions to be making. And then the decision now is, when is it okay for her to go spend the night? Um, she's starting at her job at Piccadilly's tomorrow.
Oh, I
You
went to
know,
Peekadills.
yeah, which is great for her because she's so bored out of her mind.
Ugh,
But for me, it's a scary thing of she's going to be out in public. They only do takeout orders. So she's not exposed to customers, but obviously she's exposed to employees.
right.
Um, so, that's scary and exciting at the same time.
Yeah. So everybody is balancing these decisions of what
Mhm.
level of risk or
Yeah,
exposure or social distancing, like what is there gonna be their practice in this unknown, uncertain time as things start opening up. And we as metastatic patients and people facing cancer of all stages who have some kind of immunocompromised, are
yeah,
immunocompromised or have an underlying health issue,
right.
are facing all of these decisions
Yeah,
from through a different lens because
yeah,
we are not really like able to just get back to things because we're the vulnerable.
yeah,
And that you already feel vulnerable when you're facing cancer,
yeah,
and now you add this on top of it, and sometimes it's just too much. And especially like you and I who have teenage kids
yeah,
who, I mean, the feeling of what this disease does to them and
right.
what they're already facing, watching their mom go through treatments and the uncertainty and the unknown of what is going to happen. And then on top of it, take away their social life and their friends and and
Hmm.
you feel, I know I feel like responsible for that. I feel like,
Yeah,
God,
yeah,
I'm already putting this burden on them, and now this disease and in my compromised state is adding to this burden. And as
yes,
a mom, it's
yes.
just, it's
It's
frustrating.
really hard. And obviously, they don't fully comprehend. And then I think the other thing that I experienced with Sophie too is it's always about us,
Mm-hmm.
not about them. We're the ones that are getting maybe a care package or a note in the mail. We're getting asked, how are we feeling?
Yes.
So, it's definitely kind of been an eye opener about that, obviously someone who's turning 16 doesn't really want all the attention on her mom. That's,
Mm-hmm. So how do you help? Yeah, that's such a good point, Rhonda. Like, how do you try to ensure when we talk about act, don't ask, that there's a piece there for our children
Hmm.
too? And
Yeah,
what does that look like? Because it's going to look different for every kiddo, and they may
yeah,
not want any attention, or they might not. It might be, but just don't forget that they're and caregivers. When you think about how your mom's feeling, what stress does she have,
yeah,
taking care of you. We talk all the time at Hope Scarves that cancer, it is there's it when we talk about supporting people facing cancer, we think about that not only as the patient but as the family, because
yes,
cancer affects the children, the caregivers, the friends,
right.
the loved ones. I mean, obviously the patient is at the heart of it, but it affects the whole group, and it's important to remember that and to
Yeah,
recognize that.
yeah, and especially as teenagers, they're not going to necessarily show their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
But I have some, you know, about a month and a half ago, a friend of mine, she knew Sophie was kind of having a rough time, and so she left her kind of one of those yellow fun bags with like stuff to make cupcakes and just a bunch of different fun stuff that was just all for Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
So, and her friends um, do stuff like that too sometimes. But, um, yeah, there are things that we do. I don't tell my family when I'm going to have a scan because I think they worry more than I do. I
Hmm.
tell them after the scan.
Right.
They kind of know that, but I don't know.
You don't want to feel like a burden.
Right. Like, I don't know. I guess, 3 years in, you kind of have things down to the way that you do them.
Mhm.
But a simple thing that I used to do, so I like to reward myself after I have medical stuff. And one of the things that I do after scans is I go and get pancakes. But I couldn't do it this time because it wasn't open. You know,
Ugh.
after I would get chemo, sometimes I'd say, oh, I'll stop at TJ Maxx or something. Like, there's nothing really to reward myself with. Um, I can't get acupuncture, I can't do Reiki, I can't get massages. So all of that goes along with the treatment for me has been taken away.
Yeah.
And, just having, girlfriends come over and support me, um,
Mhm.
I'm losing out on. And to really think that, I'm not going to be safe until I can get a vaccine feels very far away. Um, so I've had to, cancel travel and things like that just because I think my life is going to be pretty solitary and confined. I mean, I have a beautiful house, I have a beautiful yard. I can't complain about that, but it is a long time to be kind of alone.
It's
And,
hard. It is a
having
lot.
metastatic breast cancer, to lose a whole year, I'm not losing a whole year, but it's very different.
Yeah.
And that makes me angry because I know that my years are shorter than other people's. So, so that's been something I've had to kind of think about too.
I had that exact same conversation,
Yeah,
big ugly cry last week. I was like, I have all these ideas and plans of things I want to do
yeah,
before I declined to the point of not being able to.
yes,
And I
yes.
needed this year to do
Mm-hmm.
them. Like,
Yep,
and a year or 2 year, God forbid, 2 years of this pandemic, or we do not know, but we know that we are a ticking time bomb, and we know we are living within a shortened timeline. And if you chunk out that first part of that timeline with quarantine and the uncertainty of this pandemic and social distancing and all of these guidelines for our safety, I mean, it's hard. I had a good ugly cry about the things that I felt like, what if I have 2 years
yeah,
and my last 2 years are spent in this state of isolation and quarantine, like
right.
that. And I think that they're like, you're completely allowed to break down and be pissed
Mm-hmm.
off about that
Yeah,
and how unfair that is and frustrating, and like all the plans that you had, just like we did when we were originally diagnosed and we saw our
yeah,
life looking very differently.
yes.
We now are seeing our metastatic life look very differently. And it's the same refocus that needs to happen now, and figure out, okay, so if this is what my reality is now,
Yeah,
how do I do this? How do I find joy
yeah,
in each day? How do I bring, focus on gratitude? What are the pieces that I can still control and I can still do
yeah.
again? And it is so much harder because we already did that. We already did it with the
Yeah,
cancer diagnosis, and now
right.
we're doing it again.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like I'm looking at like how, what are things that I am going to just, how am I going to slow down? How am I going to recognize this slowing down as a gift instead of a
Yeah,
frustration?
yeah.
And it's a balance. It is like constant of
Well,
that.
and some days you feel like, oh, I mean, this was great. It was a perfect day. And then some days it's like, it's very, either you can get in a really low spot, or sometimes you can get in a really angry spot.
Mhm.
Um, but I feel like this has taken me back to a lot of my feelings when I was first diagnosed of what's really important in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it's your family and your kids, it's your really close friends. And so this has really brought me down to that again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, really kind of forced me to think about how I live my daily life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and am I really connecting with the people that I love?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we just kind of existing together?
Mm.
So I think that, because playing board games and painting rocks is stuff that we wouldn't have been doing before.
Yeah.
Um, but it doesn't mean all days were good.
Yeah.
Some days have been really hard for both Sophie and I.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we try and talk about it. And, you know, at the end of the day, both of us would sometimes say, today was a really good day. Um, but I just keep saying one day at a time.
Yeah.
I can't think too far down the road. It's one day at a time.
Oh, exactly.
One thing at
And
a time, one day at a time.
sometimes one hug at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, Rhonda, I'm so glad to just pause and have this conversation
Me
together with you
too.
and to see your beautiful smile. And I think that the message that you shared about gratitude and the, intentional living and grounding yourself in each
Yeah.
moment and each day is something that is truly a gift for you to practice and
Yeah.
something that other people can learn
Yeah.
from.
And I have a gratitude journal. I don't write in it every day, but I do try to write three things that I was grateful for that day and three things that I'm praying for that day. And sometimes something will just happen where I say, okay, this has to be written down in the gratitudes. Um, that it's how we have to live. And some days are harder than others. The scan days are going to be harder than others. And we just know that. Talking about treatment, those days are going to be harder than others. Um, but the other days, I'm just grateful that I'm still here.
Yeah.
You know, I had a nurse when I took out my port entering all of my information, and she asked me what kind of cancer I had, and I said metastatic breast cancer. Said I was diagnosed 3 years ago, and she looked at me like, I can't believe you're still here.
Mm.
You know, um, that's good, but that's also hard because it also makes me think, am I leaning toward the end?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I think back to all the things that I could still do when I was first diagnosed compared to now, even my physical appearance, I'm on steroids, so I'm look like I'm 5 months pregnant and I've gained a lot of weight. I've lost my hair. I don't normally wear a hat and cover it up. I just walk around kind of looking like I have an old man haircut, but um, yeah. We're not happy we have metastatic breast cancer, but because we have metastatic breast cancer, we have found how to have joy in our day.
I think that many people with metastatic breast cancer, and I think this is true for you, it is true for me, is that we live and love more deeply
Mm-hmm.
because we realize how fragile it is.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean we're glad, I've never said I'm grateful cancer was a blessing or,
Yeah.
I'm a better person because of this experience. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I just think that we realize how fragile it is and that
Well,
we're here, we want to do
yeah.
it. really well, really big.
Right. And I think about the people who die instantly in the car crash. They never had the opportunity to live life the way that we've chosen to live our life.
Mhm.
We've been given an opportunity to make our life what we really want and to say to people what we really want them to know. Um, so, I mean, it's really hard, and all of that I still haven't figured out. Um, and when I get sick or not feeling well, I think, oh my gosh, I haven't done all those things yet. But
It's a constant balance
yeah,
of living. I say I often refer to it as a roller coaster,
it's a
and
huge roller
hang
coaster.
on
Yep.
and live one day at a time, and ground yourself, in the present, and focus on the
Yeah.
gratitude, and just
And
do
I
the
think
best that you can.
for most of us, it's a 3 month roller coaster because most of us who are metastatic get scans every 3 months. So I'm at the point right now where I got a good scan, although my liver is very damaged, and I'm going to go meet with a gastro doctor. But we kind of start sliding down when it's that scan time, and we don't know if we're going to get good news or if we're going to have to go through that horrible, stressful process of talking about switching treatment
Mhm.
and making those decisions. And then it's kind of like if I'm on a new treatment, okay, then I'm on that roller coaster for another 3 months. There's nothing I can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's me tomorrow. My doctor's appointment's tomorrow to figure out what my next pivot is.
So from your news to tomorrow, you've been online probably.
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, you haven't been looking up your treatment options?
You know what?
You are better than me.
I have like talked to friends who are on this treatment and who are also kind of pivoting or have
Okay.
are looking at other options. I'm
Yeah.
aware of some of the different things that are on the table, but I have worked really, really hard not to go down the Google
Oh, you're
rabbit
better
hole.
than me.
It is just not healthy for me. And maybe that comes back to my whole like I don't want it to be on my shoulders to just make this decision. Like
Yeah.
I don't even have all the information yet. And so I will kind of start going down that hole more tomorrow. I don't know that I'll walk away with a
Yeah.
treatment plan tomorrow. I'll walk away with the information. So the feedback from my blood biopsy, foundation medicine, genetic
Yeah.
mutations, the pathology report of the fluid in my pleura of my lung,
Yeah.
all of that, and then figure out the next thing. So it's, oh God, it's
It's probably
not one thing,
the
it's
most
another with the
stressful
stupid metastatic
time.
disease.
Yeah, it's probably the most stressful time when you have metastatic breast cancer is when you have to change treatment and that decision has to be made.
Yeah, yeah,
Because the drug you're on, you know what side effects you're going to have.
yeah.
Like, you know how you feel. I know what I have to do after I've had a Taxol treatment.
Mm-hmm.
It's going into the unknown of what kind of side effects I'm going to have. Is it going to work? How's it going to make me feel? Yeah. I'm sorry you're at that point.
Mm, thank you. Well, there is comfort in the solidarity and common ground and talking with people who understand. And that's one of the foundations of Hope Scarves is creating connection
Yeah.
and helping people realize they're not alone. And though I would wish that we didn't know each other through
Right?
metastatic breast cancer, I wish we just knew each other because you're going to
I
help me find an
know.
amazing cottage in West Michigan,
Yes.
and be my realtor. But this is how we know each other, and this is the reality we're facing. And I am grateful to know you, to have you as an inspiration to me on how to live fully and how to keep your smile
Oh.
shining and your light shining even when it's hard. And so
Well,
you are an example that hope is not canceled. You are
thank
such an
you.
example. I'm so honored to be able to include you in this campaign and sharing your
Uh,
story and to help people realize how cancer is through this pandemic, but how important it is to realize that hope isn't canceled. And when people are making choices about social distancing and wearing a mask and helping keep our communities safe, they are doing that for you and for me.
Yes.
And it's important, and we are grateful. And I'm so glad to take time tonight and talk. And I hope that maybe soon I will be in Michigan and we can visit 10 feet apart in your yard.
Yes.
And just talk in person. And I'm just so grateful for you to share your story. Thank you for your honesty and your vulnerability and just being here with us.
There's no other way to be. If I'm going to help another person, I will continue to be that way. And thank you for inviting me. And I always say, I don't know how Laura does everything that she does. You're amazing. And your experience and sharing that at the farm was really meaningful to me, and I'm sure to a lot of other people. Total jealousy.
I know, it was a gift to be able to have that time with our family.
But isn't that funny how that had been put in your life, not that long ago, and you needed it, and it's just a beautiful thing to watch you guys there.
Oh, I know. It was. Thank you for that. It was a special time for our family, and I think recognizing, if we're looking for silver linings, that was that for our family for sure. So, well, thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Yeah, sending love to you for tomorrow.
Thank
you. Remember the mantra that you told me when I had my liver biopsy: I am safe.
Yes, everything is working out. My high is good. I am safe, even when it feels like you're on ground.
That has helped me a lot through a lot of things.
All
right.
Love you. Thank you so much for your time tonight. And thank you to everybody who joined us to listen to our stories tonight. This is the first of a series of Hope Isn't Canceled conversations. And Rhonda, I'm so glad to talk with you tonight. Everybody take care.
You too.
I will talk to you soon.
Bye.
Hey, bye-bye.